Today I'm launching the Lean Business Engineer. So what does that mean? I want to show you how you can use AI in order to build incredibly lean operations within a company or a department. So often you hear how AI has been used to build certain products that you can sell and how easy it is now to build the products. But what I find much more interesting is how can you internally change the way you operate companies, make them extremely lean in order to then scale out. You might be a CEO that looks at leaning out your company to increase your margins. You might be somebody who is buying and selling companies. So you buy an inefficient company, you make it more efficient. Or you might just be a manager of a department and you look at ways on how to improve your internal operations. So loads of ways on how AI can be used to really streamline the operations and become much, much, much better across all functions of the business. So how are we going to do this? I want to take on the challenge. I want to build the company completely from scratch. I have zero customers, zero context, nothing that I can build up on. So I have to start at that point. I will show you how I built all of these systems, but I built them in a way that it doesn't require a lot of manual work. Here and there, there's a human, so me and the loop, but I want to minimize this as much as possible. Anything that I can't in the long term automate, I don't want to bring in here. I want to do that across all of the function of my company. Today, I just want to give you a quick wrap up where I am. So I've been starting to do this since a couple of days that you'll see I'm very much at the beginning of everything. And then I will every now and then give you an update on where I am, what I've built, what has worked, what has not worked. So in this case, again, we have the external products. I will not go into them in more detail. At the moment, I focus on setting to hotels, but that doesn't really matter right now. It can, in the long run, completely change. At the moment, I have these two products, but I will not go into more detail here. So then now what is more interesting are the internal systems. So what I've structured this at the moment is essentially my backbone operations. What's a must-have to get started? But as I said, I don't have customers yet. So initially, I need to do marketing to drive the demand. When I have the demand, I have to sell to the people that I found. And once they convert as customers, I have to service them if there are, for example, problems. Then later on, like as I continue to develop these systems, I also have here systems that I built to become better at building products. But I'm going to show you that later. So at the moment, sales and service is pretty much empty because I don't have customers. Marketing and product is what I'm going to show you today. And then here at the top, I have the CEO dashboard. The CEO dashboard is at the moment just an overview of all of the different KPIs that I want to drive. So at the moment, I can see here, marketing is the most advanced. Right now, I'm planning to do two types of things. One, cold outreach to people. So that should drive my unit marketing. One should find leads. I have a funnel here that shows me where I am. And secondly, growth marketing. So the video that I'm here right now recording, I'm going to publish this on YouTube. But I actually want to create a scalable system from that as well. So what that means is once I publish that video, I can actually get the whole transcript, everything, the speech, the text that I'm saying right now. I want to use that to automatically create content also for other channels. So that can be, for example, creating posts on X. It can be, and that is what the next step for me is here the newsletter. I want to create a newsletter so that in a very short format explains what the purpose is, what I'm doing, what the next step is. Also give you an update on the current sales metrics. But again, once they recorded this, so that is the only manual work I have to do, and then it will understand all of the context, all of the text that I'm saying, publish this in a newsletter. And similar, because I'm recording all of this here, I can then also automatically bring that into a podcast, even though you might find it boring. It's just a monologue, me talking to myself. Now, the sales and service KPIs, I pretty much just put in placeholders because we're not there yet. So that is the overview of all of my internal assistants. I now want to show you like a little bit more detail what I do in terms of marketing and what I do with the product. So let's start with marketing. So if I go to marketing, I created two different modules. I have created an outreach module and a growth marketing module. Outreach, that will be me reaching out directly via email to potential leads. Growth marketing, do all of these strategies around YouTube, newsletter, and so on and so forth that I mentioned. I want to start with the outreach module. So what I've created here, if I click on this, is that first, and you see it's not yet looking good, but I don't care so much about that it's looking good. I just care about, is it working? Is it not working? So here on the left side, I can see here right now different hotels that I'm planning to reach out to. So later on, I will just call this not hotels, I will call this accounts. These are the companies that I plan to sell to. Then in the next screen, I see certain contacts that are part of this hotel. And if I click on one, I right now have main role and so on and so forth. So one is a contact. A contact is just a person that is associated with that account. However, as not yet sold to them or like really gotten into an exchange. So the status is not contacted. The first workflow that I enabled here is I want to be able to reach out to that person via email in a highly efficient manner, but also hyper-personalized. This is the first thing that I automated with AI. So in that case, I can create an email draft, which would bring me now here to the next screen. So the way that works is now I could go in and write here this email, but that takes a lot of time. What I've done instead is, in the past, I sent out emails to other contacts, and the only thing I want to do is I want to take the same template of that email to save time, but I can't send the same email to that lead, so I have to personalize that. So what I do is first here I select the reference of a past email. I select that reference. So that email has like certain statistics and setup. We'll see that in a second. But now I want to actually personalize it for the lead Vinny doll that I'm gonna send this email to. So now I select dog, and in dog I have here specific statistics. I'm gonna show you what's in here. In this case, again, it's just a demo I want to show you, but this can be a report you get from ChatGPT or like an agent that you've built. This can also be a report that you have across, let's say, 100 different leads. Every lead has certain statistics that you want to use to personalize an email, so we make this really scalable in the long run. But for now, I just take this information, I select it, and now I say here, I want to write an email to Vinny. I attached an email to another lead for reference. This is how you should structure the new email. True. If I've done spelling, it doesn't really matter. It's spelling mistakes. Now take the document attached and find the statistics that are related to Vinny. Now personalize the email accordingly while keeping the same format. So now I click generate. It takes a bit of time. The AI is now looking at the statistics in the document. It checks the email that I had before. Perfect. So you see the old email said you are 2% ahead and so on and so forth. Now it says you are 13% ahead. It kept the exact same structure. It filled in the statistics here, number 6 and so on from the document, but it's exactly the same structure that the other email had. It also changed the hotel. That is also what I'm looking for because it's coming from this hotel here. So all of that is correct. So this is now for one person, right? So I can now say apply, and this is now set. This is now for one person. But later on, what we'll do is we'll take this prompt, and instead of doing it just for one person, we can hyper-personalize that for entire seconds. Now, the next thing is we want to send this. So I click here on send, and now it opens in Outlook, and I have all of this filled in with send. Again, if I wanted to customize it, I can, and I hit send. Now it closes it. I'm back in my email. So that all had that automatically. At the moment, I can mark this as sent, and now the email is here. But I actually also built an integration with Outlook. So as that email is sent, I can just click here on sync this quickly. And you can see here now the actual Outlook email that came from my account. So now I have two emails. You see there's like still a bit that I have to change this. I have to now manually delete this one out that we don't have two. So all of this is because I actually sent it out on Outlook is now having this email. I have synced it, and I get all of the data. And if I click on it, I see the email that I sent out, hyper-personalized. So what happens now if that person answers? We wait a little time, and then we check again. And now you can see we have here a received email that now came in. And if I open this up, I can now see the email that I sent before, but also here the response. This looks interesting, send it over. So this is the way how the outreach works. You see certain things I have not yet optimized. So for example, here the contacted and follow up send and responded. All of this has not come in yet. In this case, I can put this on responded in this case. That should happen later automatically, and I can build that. So this is how you very quickly send a hyper-personalized email, get something back from the person using AI. But the actual very interesting factor comes in if we do that at scale. So imagine we build a whole segment. We have, let's say, 50 different emails. We have one document with statistics about each of these hotels and these contacts. And then en masse we create like these e-notes. And this is the second outreach that I'm building next, which I'll give an update once this is ready. But this is so far the first email. And if I go back in the CEO dashboard, it would be now shown here as responded with one person. So that's the whole idea about the email outreach that we're gonna drive more. The growth marketing, again, I will do this in a future video once I've actually built these systems. So far, all of this is empty. But once I uploaded this YouTube video, then I will be able to also get all of the transcripts, automatically create a newsletter, and so on and so forth. So yeah, keep on it and see once we've built it. So finally, the last thing I want to show you, failed, and so this is not really interesting for you. Sales, again, just as the account so far, contacts I have, leads, opportunities. I'm gonna keep this out. Service doesn't have any cases yet because we have no customers to serve, so I'm not building that yet. And finally, there's the product. So with a product, what is my main goal? My main goal is to build faster, to build new systems as quickly as possible. And what I'm using is Claude Code. I can quickly show you this. I go now behind the scenes. It looks a bit messy. So that might look a little bit scary for you, but you can ignore essentially everything that's here. It's just like this little X button here at the bottom. I say what should be done to the app, and it will do it. But that process is quite manual. If I go back here, I essentially, if I want to make a change, let's say to marketing, and I say add one more module here, I have to then go back to Claude and say, go to the marketing app. Within the marketing app, add one more module, so and so. Within that module, go to that screen and then do this and this. So I have to really explain where in my application I want to have the change. I can't just say, add a button here. I have to say exactly where that has to happen. And that's a lot of manual texting. I've therefore created a product app which allows me to do two things. One, very quickly capture the feedback that I want or the changes or the bugs that I see in the app, and then translate that into a roadmap. So if I click on roadmap, I can now see for all of the different applications, everything that I'm planning to do with the status, what's been completed. For example, here, the email search earlier didn't work. So I marked this as a bug. Then the AI fixed it, said it's fixed. I haven't checked it yet, but we have just seen in the demo that it worked. So I can mark this now as closed. That's fine. And so on and so forth. So the whole idea is very quickly creating new features that have to be built or raising bugs that have to be done across these apps. Now I connected my Claude Code that it can read my roadmap. So everything that's on my roadmap, my Claude Code can see and then very quickly develop. However, the first thing I need to do is if I want to change something, I have to capture the feedback. So in order to do this, I need to essentially create a prompt for Claude Code that tells exactly where in the application, what type of change has to happen. In this case, I created this little feedback hovering widget over here. I have two options. I can either record with my voice the change that I want to happen, or I can write and text the change that I want to happen. Though the important thing is, for the prompt that's been generated out of this, to know where that change should happen, I need to capture also the exact point in the application where that happened. So I created what I call a context layer. If I click on this, I can now see here app context. I can see in which app are in, the application name, and so on, the section, the module, and so on. If I now start navigating, so for example, now I go to the app manager, you see it's changing. If I go now to sales, it's changing to sales overview, and so on and so forth. I don't have to go that granular to every single screen. A couple of things I can also say in my prompt itself. So for example, if I'm in the dashboard, I can say I'm looking right now at the sales module. It's something like that, but it already gives enough context so that it can work. So in this case here, if I now want to do a change, for example, let's do a change to the CEO dashboard. Let's say we want to do the accounts not in black color, but we want to have it in a more blue color. The only thing I need to do, let me just quickly close this. I record my voice now and I say change the number of accounts, the font color to blue. So next to that. In here, change the color of the font for the number of accounts from black to blue. Now I stop recording, it's transcribing. So easier, change the color, it transcribed my voice. It also has the context started at the dashboard. If I clicked through, it would always mark all of the changes. And now I say, with all of this, it should create a prompt for Claude Code to work with. So now it created the prompt, implement in, changes, technical notes. Now I save that as a new feature. I say that change color of account number. This is already pre-pocketed, that's fine. In this case, it's a feature, it's not a bug that I want to do. But if it's draft, then Claude Code won't see it yet. But if it is in ready, then Claude Code will see it and will work with it. So I save this. Now let's do one more complicated thing. So for example, if I go back, and let's say we want to create one more module for marketing. I'm not actually going to build this now, but I want to show you how the prompt would be built. I would say, okay, if I navigate from here into marketing, I want to then add a new module. So what I would do is I would say, in this case, record. Here I go into here, and here I want to have one more module added called Marketing 101. So you saw I just said here. I didn't really describe where I am. So here, from here, I go to here. So that doesn't tell really where I am. But you see the context is being captured, started at app overview, switch to marketing, module select. So it's very clear where I was. So I create now the prompt. It takes again all of this data and it says implement in, marketing module select, changes, add one more module, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to save this now, I don't want that. But similar, I also can raise bugs and see here, bug open. In this case, then Claude would be able to lead that. But again, I'm not going to save this now. However, what I want to show you is if I now go back and I go to product, I go to roadblock, that's erased. So in this case, if you see here, dashboard, I have one here in ready, which is change color of account number that we just created. I can also change the priority. So later on, thanks to me, it's a priority 2. Claude Code will then be able to prioritize what needs to be built. I can tell it whatever I want in that case. So now the only feature that you can see here, which is actually in the roadmap, is ready. That's the only one. Everything else is either already built that I still have to test or complete it. Maybe later on I built some filters here at the top as well that we can see features or bugs and the statuses. I haven't done that yet. But I want to show you how those being built. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to Claude Code. And again, all of this complicated thing, and I'm even going to look at, I just go in here and I say, build the ready features and update status. Claude Code already knows what this means. So I just have to send this. And now you see it's working. I'm not a coder. I just tell it what it needs to do. You can now see it's being marked as built, not in ready anymore. But let's actually now go and test this. So I go back, I go into the CEO dashboard. Yes, and the colors changed. So all of my worked. I go back here, I go to product and roadmap. Then now just mark this as completed. Fun. So you see, there's obviously a very small change that had to be done. But if I need to make really complex changes, I can just talk the AI through this. And it starts creating all of this here in my roadmap. Claude Code has access to my entire roadmap, all of the features, all of the bugs, and the speed at which I can now create these systems has drastically improved. In summary, this product essentially enables me to develop internal systems much, much, much faster. Again, that was the first video. Just wanted to show you where I am. In this case, all of these systems work on the same data. They all talk together. I really want to maximize out the way how I drive them around and then commit to do the sale. It's a starting point. I want to keep you updated, and next I'm going to work more on the marketing side, the growth side. So once I uploaded this YouTube video to then create, I can use all of these things to drive more reach. So yeah, follow if you want to see what's happening next, how we're going to build these systems, how we're going to make this scalable. And again, I will do this a complete one-person project, but show you how you can engineer extremely meme systems.